Another blow to Disney's Marvel portfolio. Here we go. NetEase employees have allegedly laundered up to 139 million US dollars. That's not Chinese yuan they're talking about. That's 139 million USD. That's right. In a trading scheme that involves nearly 30 companies, okay? 30. There are people that are already being arrested for this, okay? So this is pretty big. Now we're going to go through this story. Usually I'd abbreviate some of this, but it's just got so much information that's really relevant here because for one, I didn't even know this company was that powerful. When I heard that they were doing the Marvel Rivals thing, I was like, "Oh, they found some company in China to do it. Cool. All right. They got jealous of the Wukong guys, so they made their own studio." No, no. NetEase apparently is somebody that matters over there. I had no idea. Let me know down in the comments below if you had any idea how influential this company is, all right? So, late last week, Bloomberg and the Chinese outlet Li Feng report that several NetEase employees have been arrested for money laundering and bribery. The company is currently developing the Overwatch 2 competitor Marvel Rivals, okay? You've seen some of the previews for this. It's pretty Overwatchy. It's just kind of, you know how they do the skins in Overwatch? It's kind of like somebody slapped some Marvel skins on the Overwatch characters. I'm surprised that they didn't turn Winston into the Hulk. You know what I mean? Just a big green ape Hulk, you know? Anyway, and the mobile game Destiny Rising. Once again, Bungie just really pitching winners there. Anyway, Li Feng alleges that NetEase's game's general manager in charge of marketing and former head of NetEase esports division, I believe that's Zhang Lang. I think that's Zhang Lang. I think that's how you pronounce that. I'm trying, okay? Please let me know down in the comments below if I did not slam dunk that, but that sounded about right. Has been taken away by the company's internal anti-corruption department. It's the CCP. You know what I mean? The internal corruption department, anti-corruption. Is there a difference? I'm not sure. Anti-corruption department for investigation. Other employees who work under Lang are also reportedly under investigation for purchasing traffic, okay? Botting to help promote NetEase's top products. So far, all NetEase has confirmed to Bloomberg in a statement is that the police are investigating the possible corruption. Another Chinese outlet, Yikai Global. I think that's Yikai. I could have that wrong. Again, let me know. I think that's Yikai Global. Has also reported that the old head of NetEase Games Distribution and Marketing Center, Jin Yuchen, is also under investigation. Aside from NetEase employees, the outlet also alleges that 27 unnamed employees have been blacklisted due to connections with the laundering scheme, okay? So we have, before we go any further in the numbers here, you can see them right there for yourself if you want to skip ahead, but let's just take a minute and just take inventory of how deep this has gone. You got the former head of the company in hot water. You've got the two guys that are ahead of it right now, and then 30 other employees underneath this that have been 27 other employees underneath this that have been screwing around to the point where now the government and the law at least is blacklisting them. So I assume that has something to do with their employment eligibility in this sector. They may never work in gaming again because of this, or at all. I don't know how the social credit scores work when a blacklisting is applied to somebody in the CCP. Seriously, I don't know. A blacklisting here means you can go out and start your own business. It's going to be real hard because people think you're a dick off the go, but in CCP, in China's CCP there, the Chinese Communist Party's China, I don't know what happens to you when you get blacklisted. I've heard that in some cases, when your social credit score drifts low enough, you can't even borrow a bicycle from those bicycle rental companies. You can't ride the bus. They'll block you from going to restaurants. It's one of those things where it's like, this is a big deal when you start applying this kind of stuff to people that are in CCP-controlled China. Because again, this corruption stuff, you hear about it all the time, right? It's kind of like the norm. You have to grease some palms to get stuff done in China. A lot of the regulators operate on packs of cigarettes in the local area. You could bring them American cigarettes, they'll work with you. You know, the police, if you bring them American cigarettes, they're happy to, maybe they don't have a problem with what you're up to. They were just bothering you because you're not of the area, if you will. And so again, there's a lot of just kind of that on the ground. I can't imagine the corporations are any cleaner, and the government itself is head to toe with corruption. These huge feasts that they throw and things like that that just burn money, and then all this garbage food goes out into the streets where people who are living in extreme poverty, making less than $500 US dollars a year, have to subside off of that trashed food. Okay. And granted, we have problems here in the West that are pretty intense. Don't get me wrong. We have a homeless problem that's pretty intense. We have people that are eating out of garbage. That's pretty intense. But what we don't have is a head to toe, top to bottom institution that protects that. So when these guys get called out on corruption, please understand that this is not something that's light. Okay, they couldn't buy their way out of this one. All right, so either they ticked off somebody important to the government, or the corruption was so vile that this was the easiest way out instead of admitting the entirety of it. Okay, because when the government has to take notice of corruption within China's borders, that is a big deal. Okay, because again, like I said, top to bottom corruption, then you got to go isolate this one. It's pretty difficult to set this one aside when everybody knows how it works everywhere else. Okay, I just want to get that out of the way. That's a pretty hefty indictment to say that they've been blacklisted in CCP China. Okay, we'll get down into the numbers here. And it says, there have been a few estimates for how much cash employees allegedly laundered. Some reports indicate up to 277 million US dollars. Now, I'm inclined to believe it's much higher than that. When you get into what this company was doing for these people, what they're doing for their promotion, the development, and of course they're buying all the bots and stuff like that, I guarantee you there was a hell of a lot more money involved with this, that this is just the stuff that they can track down so far. When they start cracking open hard drives, getting into the guts of the emails, getting into just what exactly the tips were to start doing the insider trading, to start doing the bot farming and all that stuff, there's probably going to be a lot more money that ended up flying into the wind here with this company, flying into the wind. And so here we have it. But game developer reports that the actual price is likely closer to 114 million to 139 million USD. Now, I'm not bothering with the yuan because I don't think any of our viewers traffic in yuan. The Chinese firewall, for instance, kind of prevents the overlap of media. Now, if you'd like me to read out the yuan, let me know down in the comment below, but I think it's kind of useless as far as, because not many people know what the conversion rate is. I don't, so that's why I'm glad it's in the article. Just off the top of my head, I don't know how a dollar breaks down to the yuan. I'm sorry. So you forgive me if I just don't have that in my back pocket, Earlier this year, we saw a similar case unfold with the Sonic co-creator Yuji Naka, who was fined 1.2 million and given a suspended jail sentence for insider trading. Naka was first arrested back in 2022 while he was still at Square Enix. The main accusation was that he bought shares in Aiming Inc. with the foreknowledge that Square Enix would be collaborating with the studio on Dragon Quest Tactics. Okay, the mobile game. Mobile games, maybe that's what they're doing, right? Nobody's paying attention to mobile despite the huge size of it in the market, right? Or maybe it's just getting lost in there and they're hoping nobody notices that these random, falsely advertised mobile games, no, they're just hoping nobody notices that they're giant money laundering schemes. Maybe, I don't know. It's, we're mobile. Naka was also accused of buying A-Team shares just before it began to work on Final Fantasy VII mobile game. There it is again. It's almost as if the mobile game market is primed for corruption, primed for abuse, because there just isn't a lot of eyes on it. And honestly, I think that has to do with the fact that the market has so rapidly grown that governments around the world are really lacking the ability to compensate for it. Now, again, I'm not a regulator happy guy. I don't think it's a good idea to give government a lot of power. I don't think that's smart. But when we're dealing with this kind of stuff like these mobile games that seem to be so prone to abuse, it's time to have some oversight. It's time to have somebody step in and say, wait a minute. If you guys are able to traffic close to $500 million, okay, almost, let's just say this, you're at least able to traffic $250,000. Okay? If you're able to do that through mobile games, we have a problem. We got a problem if you can launder that much money over just the regular old mobile game market. You're not doing anything special. You're not collaborating with some occult underground Nephilim group or something casting magic spells on Trump. None of that. You're just a dude that's doing illegal stuff, and you're able to do $250 million worth of laundering. Okay? That's pretty intense. And that needs to be paid attention to. That needs to be thought about as we go forward with more powerful handheld devices, more powerful phones, as we go forward with the greater intent to offer more expansive games on those more powerful phones. Because guess what's going to happen? The more a game looks like it costs more, the more primed for abuse it's going to be. You think there's a problem with the skins right now? Wait until they can start cashing in on that stuff twice, okay? Not only do they get your money, then they launder it back and forth until they get the double payment off of it or buy bot farms out of it to quadruple their payment back. It is an insane machine right now that is completely wide open. There's very little regulation on this stuff. Most of it's decency laws. Most of it's just to make sure the consumer is protected from exorbitant fees related to skins or buying more gold, diamonds, energy points, whatever you want to call them. That's about it. It's just anti-gambling laws and decency laws are basically the only thing around it. There's no hardline corporate, we have laws like Martha Stewart was on home arrest for several years up here in Maine, where I live. She was on home arrest right out there with her horses on her little seaside ranch there she's got. Real nice place, arrest. But anyway, for insider trading. That's a serious, serious, serious offense around the world, okay? And so if this is what they're guilty of, you can imagine there's 100 times worse of it going on all through this whole mobile market. And that's why I brought this story to you today. This is the tip of the iceberg. NetEase is probably the first in 100 or more of these companies that are going to be exposed over the next few years as, again, we move to Web3 and they start to get more, ambitious or more money hungry or at least more full of themselves and try bigger schemes. We're not going to find them until then. But just ask yourself, when you see these ads for these crazy little mobile games, you download the game, it's not like that at all. Why would it be like that? Just ask yourself, why would that game be portrayed as so cool and awesome? And then you get into it and it's barely anything out of, the basics of Unity or even just the basics of game coding, okay? Roll the ball down the hill, that kind of stuff. It's not anything that was advertised. Just ask yourself, why? All right, odds are, as NetEase has proved, odds are there's something wrong going on there. So just keep an eye on that developer down at the bottom when the title screen shows up and see how often you see that name associated with these falsely advertised games. There might be a pattern here that leads to $250 million worth of abuse. Something to consider as we go forward in the world, right? We don't have to worry about killer AI at the moment, but we do have to worry about money laundering schemes that can enrich people in an instant, thanks to the mobile market being completely Wild West. I don't know, guys. You'll have to let me know what you think about this down in the comments section below, and, as always, good luck out there.